Hello and welcome. I'm Maria and today I'm going to be working on this painting. It's a little landscape, lots of trees in it, and it's a while since I've painted trees, so it's something a little bit different. So I hope you enjoy it. You just need a basic selection of acrylic paints, some brushes, plenty of water. A spray bottle is useful to keep the paints dry, and a hair dryer for drying things off, and a selection of brushes, as I said. So we'll get started. So I'm just about to work on a little painting, and this one is of trees. And I know this is unusual. I haven't painted trees for a long time, but I just wanted to change things up. It's going to be of a little kind of glen, little valley area, a little pathway with trees on either side, and I'm using a bigger brush than usual because I just want to get the background in quickly. So I'm just going to use some very broad, large brush marks here. I'm going to pull that up there and cover that in, even though it will stick to it, but I'll just let it dry for a second. I have to use the clamp really to keep, because when the page gets very, very wet, it begins to buckle. So I just use these ordinary clamps just to clamp down the edges. But it just means there's a little bit of white then on the edges, and I have to come back afterwards and cover those in, paint those in. So yeah, I've got a lot of blue on my palette, so I want to use it up. So some of that blue is going to be coming out as I go on. Obviously it'll be lightened up, but it's just helping me get a quick sweep of sky into the background, and then the trees I will paint over that. So yeah, getting rid of all my background, all my white, and then I've mixed some of that blue, as I said, I had a lot of blue on my palette, so I've mixed some of the blue with this green, and I'm painting the foreground here, the bottom of the painting, in that colour. So this is more of a kind of pastoral landscape. It's of a place I've been to. So just thinking about that place in a lovely it's a lovely country farm in the mountains of West Cork, the hills. And I just love the scenery there. It's a gorgeous place. So that's roughly my background in, and I could even just bring a little bit of to use what's left on my brush here, bring some foliage in, because there will be leaves and branches up on top. So I know that looks very dull, but I'm using a lighter, slightly smaller brush now with a round head. And I'm going to bring in just this area here. I don't want my little pathway to be right in the center, because that just doesn't make a good painting. So I will lead it in from the left and keep it a little bit off center. And I'm putting kind of some light here into this area. So this is, it's just a little pathway through between some stone walls, a laneway, an old overgrown laneway. And on either side of it there are trees which I've yet to paint in. I'm going to put some down, more white on my palette. That's it. Add a little bit of yellow into that white because it's just too white. I'm just really trying to give just the idea of light coming through into that little valley area there. And I'm going to bring some more light down here from the sky. And these are kind of banks on either side. And now I'm going to go for my thin brush and I'm going to do some stems or some trunks, trees. But they're actually quite thin, these trees, so what I want to do is hold the very end of the brush and let the lines kind of flow. So it's like I'm going to be drawing really here. So I'm keeping myself quiet because I'm trying to concentrate. It's a warm day, so I'm spraying my palette with just a spray bottle to keep my paints wet. I'm not being really exact about this in copying kind of any particular image. I do have a painting I'm working from, a painting that I've done of this scene previously, but as I said, if you've already done a sketch of something or you have a photograph, but particularly if you've done a sketch that you like, it's good to work from that. And that's what I'm working from, is just a very rough painting or kind of loose. Really, it's a sketch in paint that I've done. I've made them quite blue and I don't really want them to be terribly blue. Purple is often a very good colour to use for tree trunks, as opposed to using brown, if you want to get away from using brown. There's just a lot of colour, more colour in purple. You know, afterwards you can come back and add a bit of yellow to it and that will turn it brown. But I like to kind of experiment with different colours. And from here on this side as well, there's going to be more kind of thicker trunks of trees. Slightly thicker. They're still kind of the same type of tree. And as I said, I'm not adhering rigidly to the original piece that I was working on. I'm just kind of using it to as just an idea to work from. So this is in a mountainy area, hilly area. So I want to give that idea that there is, you know, there's hills and mountains in the background. And I don't know if you can see how important it was for me to put the sky in initially in this type of painting, particularly when you're painting trees, because you don't want to be going back putting the sky in after you've painted those tree trunks. Now you might have to in certain areas, but you want to get most of that sky in and settle it. What's the sky going to be like, and kind of make your mind up. Commit yourself to the background before you do your foreground. In this type of painting, not in every type of painting, but in this type of one where you're painting trees. Okay, I don't want to get too fussy with the small brush. I'm going to now move into the bottom of the painting down here. So I'm bringing it out to the edge of my easel so I can paint over the lip of this bottom line of the painting. And I'm going to use a darker green down here. I'm going to add some yellow into that to make it more of a greeny dark green. Because the foreground here is dark. It's in shadow from more trees. So as you're going towards the background, it's getting lighter. And down here under these trees is quite dark. And I'm going to go to up here, and I'm going to add in more green and more yellow into these leaves up on top. and bring them over the tree trunks. And I'm not using a thin brush. It's thin enough, but it's not a very thin brush. It's making big enough marks. And I'm painting over those tree trunks, painting these leaves over it. And it's more, rather than painting every individual leaf, I'm giving just the impression of leaves here. And again, I don't want it to be too dark. It's gone pretty dark. So I want to lighten this up here, this area. And again, it's just to give the sense of clouds. I'm putting these lights in just to bring highlights down into the painting. And again, some of them have to come in here as well into this pathway, and they have to reflect on the rocks and the pebbles and the leaves that are strewn around this area as well. Now, as I'm painting this and kind of beginning to come to the end of it, really, I've got most of what I want down. I'm thinking I need a little more detail, maybe here and there in the tree trunks, maybe some detail in the leaves, some smaller leaves. But what I'm really thinking at the moment is I need a little bit more colour. And I'm thinking the colour needs to be on the orange side. So I'm just going to put a little bit of orange on my palette, and that should intensify the colour and the earth tones. So I did put a little bit of orange on my palette, deep red orange on the palette. And I think I'm actually going to go into that with a very thin brush. And often I would put down these red tones at more at the beginning of the painting and let them shine through. But I think they're more kind of, the reds are in a landscape are often more autumnal, and seeing this is early summer, spring. I was going more for the greeny, fresh greens and purples, but I really do feel that these reds need to come into the tree trunks to brighten it, to liven it up and give contrast to all the green that's in the painting, because the actual red is the contrast colour for green. So if you have green in your painting, you do need some reds to make those greens pop. So I'm just literally adding them in here and there for contrast. Adding the reds. And of course, you know, the earth has a lot of red in it. So here in the foreground where we have the pathway, there should be, you know, instead of putting brown, I'm using red really. Yellowy red and orangey red. I have really an aversion to using a lot of brown in a painting. I may use it at the very end of a painting to finish it off, to put in stems or tree trunks. But in the earlier parts of the painting, I like to keep away from it because it can deaden the painting. I put too much yellow there. That was an accident. But you can make these accidents work. I can either take it out or I can decide maybe I like it there, which I haven't fully made up my mind about it yet. So I'm just trying to, bring in some highlights here. So here I am now with the small brush, and I'm putting in more detailed brush marks of, giving the impression of some smaller leaves and things on these trees. And I'm just adding in some details into this footpath here, or this old road. It was an old boreen, but it's kind of now just really just a little pathway. But you get these little pathways just all over the mountains in Ireland, any of the forest paths, and it's all just this type of scenery. It's very easy to get a photograph of something like this and work on it. I'm going between some of those trees there just to bring out the shapes of them and put some highlights in there. So I'm just trying to look and see if I like this painting. I'm going to zoom in just to let you see it a bit more closely. So yeah, that's looking into the path and to the distance there. It's just very loosely the way I've painted those um, trees and leaves there. So I hope you like this painting, and I hope that you get down and do something like this. As I say, I probably will finish little bits and pieces of it. But until I see you again, please subscribe and share. Have a great week, and God bless. Talk to you next week, and happy painting. Hope you do something really nice this week with your art. Okay, God bless. Bye bye. Keep it simple.